3, 2, 1. The bar's moving. Yeah, the bars are moving. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Mic check, mic check. The Cromie family on the record as bipolar, formerly of Albany, New York. Jack Cromie died of his illness. Everyone knows this. DJ's Mutine, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Signing on. This is Alva with the video blog How I Met Your Father.life. DJ's Mutine. Today I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the latest Lin-Manuel Miranda creative oeuvre known as In the Heights. Bottom line, the film reflects Miami's political establishment propaganda. Wait for it. Here's where this is a glaring issue in the film. In the subway scene with Señora Abuela. Kind of deep into the film, I don't think I'm really giving too much away. The name of the song that Señora Abuela performs is called Paciencia y Fe, translates to patience and faith. And she's on the subway and she's talking about her life in Cuba. As far as we know, she's the only Cuban character in this pan-Latin American sort of, kind of take on what Washington Heights is really like. For the record, to be clear, I grew up in Washington Heights from ages 2 to about 8 years old. I was a French citizen without U.S. papers, raised by a single mom, a binational from France with a U.S. passport. Just to kind of give you some context on where I'm coming from with my criticism of In the Heights, a propaganda film that reflects the unsupported political views of Miami's political establishment. So let's take a closer look at that Paciencia y Fe song that Señora Abuela sings in the subway. It's a blackout, blah, 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 blah. She's singing blah, 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 blah. These are how the lyrics go. It was hotter at home in La Vibora, the Washington Heights of Havana, a crowded city of faces, the same as mine. Back in a child in La Vibora, I chased the birds in the plaza. She goes on to say, ain't no food in La Vibora. I remember the nights, anger in the streets, hunger at the windows, women folding clothes. Mama needs a job, Mama says we're poor. One day you say, vamos a Nueva York. And Nueva York was far. These are lyrics from Paciencia y Fe, the song that Señora Abuela sings in the subway scene in the Heights. Further down in the lyrics, she says, Paciencia y, fresh off the boat in America, freezing in early December, a crowded city in, wait for it, 1943. I'll say that again. The lyric in the Lin-Manuel Miranda song, Paciencia y Faith, registered with Warner Chappell Music, says, fresh off the boat in America, freezing in early December, a crowded city in 1943. For those of you who don't know Latin American history, outside of the U.S., how it's really taught, Cuba was a U.S.-backed puppet government until the Cuban Revolution started in 1953. I'll say that again. Cuba was a U.S.-backed puppet government before the Cuban Revolution of 1953. Señora Abuela in the Heights scene is talking about coming to America in 1943. She's escaping hunger, poverty and the lack of work opportunities in 1943 Cuba, when Cuba was a U.S. puppet government under the dictator Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar. I'll say it again. Señora Abuela in the In the Heights movie, during the subway scene, talks about arriving to the U.S. after suffering through economic distress. Oh, we have no money. Oh, we're so poor. Oh, we're so broke. We have no jobs in 1943. Who was the leader of Cuba back then? U.S.-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar. The Cuban Revolution started in 1953 up until 1959. The song goes on to say, Señora Abuela sings, she ends up cleaning houses for women on the Upper East Side. So she's basically going from one Yankee dollar regime under the Batista dictatorship in Havana of 1943 to the Yankee dollar backed Upper East Side cleaning houses. In 1943, before the Cuban Revolution of 1953. See that huge discrepancy in historical fact in the Paciencia y Fe song of In the Heights? Señora Abuela leaves Cuba, then backed up by the U.S. as a puppet government under dictator Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar, looking for the Yankee dollar in Havana, unable to find it, going for the Yankee dollar in 1943, still working for the Yankee dollar as a housekeeper on the Upper East Side, is how the song goes. Ain't a damn thing changed in Señora Abuela's life. Escaping the U.S.-backed puppet regime of Batista in 1943. Only to arrive in Yankee Gringoland, working for the Yankee dollar on the Upper East Side. That is so not Fidel Castro's fault. Señora Abuela's plight working for pennies on the Upper East Side as a housekeeper, as the song will have you believe. Diges Mutine. The communist overthrow of Batista ended in 1959. Señora Abuela was well on her way to living in Washington Heights, according to the song, by 1943, well before the communist overthrow of Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar, who, by the way, who, by the way, has always had a friendly relationship with Washington. Two of Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar's children were born in Florida. He lived at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City before the Cuban Revolution. He also lived in Daytona Beach, Florida, before the communist overthrow that began in 1953. That Cuban dictator backed by the U.S. government named Fulgencio Batista y Zaldivar. There is no way the communist regime of the Castros had any impact on Señora Abuela's plight at all, the way that song leads you to believe. See how that song completely contradicts itself? written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, published by Warner Chappell Music. I'm not done.